All right, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. It's been quite a while. I kind of forgot the channel existed, got a little bit busy, but here I am. I decided to get out a video quickly, very quickly. This is a 3-minute clip. You know, as usual, the right is up to its normal stupidity, and so it wasn't hard to find a clip. I decided to choose Nick as the punching bag for today, simply because one of the videos that I did on him, or rather that included him, I've never done a video on him explicitly, but that included him, has been getting more views lately. I made that video maybe a month or two ago, and people were commenting defending Nick, so I decided it might be apt to tear him down one more time. So in this video, he is going to tell us what we will do without illegal immigrant labor. And according to Nick, the masterful economist and really just high-level thinker, stripping our economy of this massive source of labor that makes up a quarter of agriculture, for example, agricultural workers, it actually won't have any harmful consequences. And in fact, we can apparently just replace them with American workers, and we can automate, and we can do all of these other idealistic things, and everything will just be fine. So yeah, let's actually look through that and think about this a little bit. But I'll let Nick first tell you his two-pronged strategy to deal with the loss of this labor source.
You want to know what you do without illegal immigrant labor? Two things: hire Americans, automate.
He really thinks he cooked. Yeah, so there's his two-pronged strategy. It is hiring Americans and automating. Well, let's examine the first prong. First, let's cut through the fog. Who is Nick Fuentes? He's a white supremacist. He's a white nationalist. He himself believes in race realism, though he can't defend it. No one can. He himself believes in either he vacillates between preserving a white majority and quite literally expelling minorities from the country. He talked about, sending African Americans home on a Carnival cruise ship. So this is a guy who believes that white people are better, and he believes that white people are the only true Americans. And so when he says hire Americans, he means hire white people. What white people, Nick? The mode, aka the most common age for white people in America, is 55 years old. The median is 44. Are you sending your grandpa out into the fields to replace the agricultural workers that we would lose as a consequence of deporting illegals? Obviously not. So the first prong fails. We don't have the population base necessary to support the kind of work that we need to continually grow. That's the entire point of immigration, of both undocumented and documented immigration, which, by the way, both of them are beneficial for the economy. Both of them reduce crime rates. So the fear-mongering around illegals, it's just nonsensical. That's one. Two, his second prong is automating. Yeah, thanks, Nick. I can tell you have no background in automation. You have no background in machinery. You don't know anything about what it would take to automate an entire sequence of tasks, because that's what it is. It's automating a sequence of tasks, not one task. Yes, there are machines that will pick fruit for you, but you still need people to sort the fruit. You still need people to package the fruit. You still need people to inspect the fruit. And so you're not going to get rid of the need for labor. All right, we are not at that stage yet. And this is the same guy, by the way, who talks about the limits of AI, who talks about how AI is, very faulty and how people overhype it. But now he wants to say, we can just automate entire sectors of industries. We can't. Neither machinery nor AI is there yet. That's the reality. So this two-pronged approach fails on its face. But let's let him continue.
It is the 21st century. We have rockets that are reusable, that we catch with tongs.
Who cares? When he says this, what is the implication of that? We're advanced in one area. By the way, we've had rockets for a very long time. The fact that they're reusable is like the latest innovation, but we've had rockets for a century now. So I don't really know what the point of saying that is. The reason he says it is because his audience is dumb. And so if they hear one thing that sounds advanced, then they're going to say, oh, well, therefore we can do anything else that sounds advanced. It's just stupid. Who cares if we have rockets that are reusable? That doesn't mean that we can automate entire sectors. If we could automate entire sectors, we would all be kissing our jobs goodbye, because the profit-hungry owners of businesses and companies would instantly cut out all of the workers and replace us with robots. So thank God that they can't do that.
We launch dozens of satellites every day with internet in the most remote parts of the world. We have autonomous cars and robots. You're telling me
we have been trying to automate trucking, for example, for decades. It still hasn't happened, because moving through a 3D environment and interacting to the environment and reacting to the environment in real time is actually very difficult. It's even more difficult than automating, linguistic tasks, which is why people have begun to realize that maybe white-collar jobs are under a bigger threat than blue-collar jobs imminently. So this is a guy who just knows nothing about automation. We are not to the point where we can have, these self-driving cars everywhere that completely replace people. Because guess what? They still fail sometimes. And when they fail big time. Anyone who knows anything about AI in any field knows that when AI goes awry, it goes awry big time. For example, if you're trying to do, legal research, a lot of the times it just makes up cases. Terrence Tao talks about how whenever AI tries to do mathematics, it will create plausible looking mathematical work, but that it will make very big errors that are difficult to spot. And so the reality is we cannot deploy automation to the scale that he wants to. We cannot deploy AI to the scale that he wants to without working on it some more, because right now it makes massive mistakes. And so he's overestimating the capabilities of the very technology that him and his side always underestimate. And so this is one of the things that these people on the far right do. There's this constant duality to everything. Immigrants are both lazy and they're the ones who are going to take your jobs. White people are both powerful and supreme and weak and under attack by everyone. AI is both a panacea and a poison. You can't have it both ways, but these people love to have it both ways. That way they can make any conclusion that they want sound correct, because their dumb audience won't be able to see through their illogical statements.
We need to employ peasants from third world countries, like a feudal manorial system, to pick the berries.
And it's so ironic that a guy who sat in his mom's basement after dropping out of college because he couldn't hack it is calling someone a peasant. If anyone's a peasant, it's you. You have no intellectual merit. You have a bunch of basement-dwelling neckbeards who follow you, and it makes your ego get inflated to such a degree that you think you're anything more than a con man in a ill-fitted suit.
Without the illegal immigrants, who will pick the berries? Who will wait the tables? Who will make the Big Macs? Robots, Americans, some combination of the two. It's not complicated.
And we've already gone over why that's stupid. I mean, that's his two-pronged approach that I just debunked.
The reason we don't have it is because the businesses that use the labor don't want to make the capital investment.
Oh, really? They don't want to make the capital investment that would make them as or more efficient than other companies? Really? If they could do it without actually bringing in labor, if they could have these robots that actually cost less but are as productive, you don't think that they would make a capital investment? They can't see what the genius Nick can see. All they care about is profit. If they could cut every single one of us human workers out of the equation and put a robot in place that would do the same thing as us for less money, they would instantly do it. And so this right here is just stupid. It's not true that they could just instantly replace people, because if they could, they would. So I don't know what he's talking about. Obviously, the fact that they rely on this human labor means that is what they believe they still need. Because if they could do it cheaper, they would.
To buy machines costs money. It's a major upfront capital investment.
Businesses make major capital investments all the time. Why would this one be any different? Why would they not make this one if it's so promising? Like he says, if it actually could lead to, a productive sector without human capital. Like, it's just pure speculation.
You want to create a machine that picks strawberries? They invented that in the United Kingdom. It's just a lot of money.
And it does one task, not the entirety of the task necessary to get a strawberry onto your table. That's the entire point.
It's a big capital expenditure up front, and it's a lot of research and development, and you have to implement.
Apparently, it's not a lot of research and development if it's already done. If it's been invented, as Nick says. So why is it not being implemented? Is it because they really want more expensive and less effective human labor? No, it's because one machine is not going to automate an entire sector.
And if you want to employ white people, if you want to employ Americans, it's going to...
And there is exactly what I'm talking about. Nick means white people. He's using white people and Americans synonymously.
It's going to cost a little bit more money. You're going to have to pay for health care. But you can do it. No one will go bankrupt, obviously.
It's not about whether we will go bankrupt. It's about whether we will suffer economically. People like you who make a bunch of money by scamming idiots might be fine with severe economic downturns as a means to advance your racial tribalism, but the people who actually suffer when grocery prices go up, they're not as willing to, bear the burden so that we can have a whiter country as Nick wants.
They used to say, well, we need the illegal immigrant labor or else prices are going to go up. I saw a beefy 5-layer burrito from Taco Bell go from $1 to $6 in the last 5 years.
Okay, that doesn't mean anything. He's saying that people said if we get rid of the illegals, prices will go up, but we have illegals and prices went up. So do you think that means that prices wouldn't have gone up more if illegals weren't here? Obviously, they would have gone up even more. Prices will always go up. Yeah, that's just what happens as we become richer as a country and as the money supply increases and so on and so forth. But it would go up even more if they had to spend more money on labor. Obviously, if they're spending more money on the costs of labor, they're going to raise the price such that they can make a profit. This is basic economics. So who cares? Prices have went up. Yes, that doesn't mean the prices wouldn't have gone up more.
Okay? They said, we need illegal immigrants to pick the berries or else groceries will be unaffordable. Okay, so what happened with that argument? Because now a Big Mac is $12, okay? And a gallon of milk is like $100, and a carton of eggs is like $30. They said...
Well, why? Like, he's just like... he's going to just... Oh, it's a joke. But it's like he exaggerates purposefully because, there are people in his audience who are genuinely going to... pretend that eggs cost, $30 a carton. But not only that, but again, prices would have gone up even more. So just because prices went up as a consequence of things like, COVID, which led to massive inflation, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have anything to do with immigrants. You're just like connecting two things that have nothing to do with each other.
We cannot employ Americans. It is cost prohibitive. It would be far too expensive. Really? You printed $8 trillion. We gave $1 trillion to all these various wars, bailouts, you name it.
What is that supposed to have like the government funding foreign affairs has nothing to do with a private company wanting to keep labor costs low. I mean, these things are just completely unrelated. I don't even know what he is on about.
Look at the price of everything. Look at the price of eating out. Look at the price of groceries. And the job market's doing fine. The economy's doing fine. But they're telling us the economy would effectively collapse if we deported the illegals that picked the berries.
Yes, if you remove a quarter of agricultural workers, if you remove a quarter of construction workers, if you remove 22% of transportation workers, if you remove 20% of general service workers, and if you're talking about, what he wants is to cut down on all immigration, you're talking also about removing a lot of high-skilled workers, you will have negative economic consequences akin to a severe economic recession. And again, maybe people like him who make money off of scamming idiots are willing to take that cost, willing to bear that burden so that they can look around and see more white people. Fine. If you're willing to do that, advocate for it. But don't think that anyone else who's living in the real world who can't just scam a bunch of idiots to make money, don't think that we're going to, join you or pretend that anything you're saying has any sense to it, because it doesn't.
These lies are crashing in real time. The Americans are showing up for the jobs. They want the work.
No, they're not. They're not crashing in real time. Do you think that they've deported most illegals? He vacillates between saying Trump is not deporting hardly anyone, and now he's saying, well, we deported these people, and now we have people who are showing up to fill the jobs. Okay, either he deported a significant amount of people or he didn't. So pick your side. Okay, he hasn't deported, most of the illegals that we have in this country. And if he did, we will see these negative economic consequences manifest. And then people like Nick will just ignore the fact that he was wrong. Just like he ignored the fact that he completely overstated, World War III, which he said was imminent. You should see his show the day that we bombed Iran. I'm not saying that I am against bombing Iran, but he was completely wrong, and he ignored that. And he would ignore this whenever he sees the same economic consequences manifest, because he's not here to give you accurate predictions. He's here to, make predictions. When he's right, he's here to talk about how right he was, and when he's wrong, he's here to ignore it.
We want wages to go up. It's not going to be actually catastrophic. There's no catastrophic impact from tariffs. There wouldn't be catastrophic impact from deportation.
No catastrophic impact from tariffs? You can look at the studies on Trump's tariffs from before and see that they were economically disastrous. They did not have the kinds of consequences that he wanted. And as such, that discrepancy between expectations and outcomes was disastrous. And, his tariffs this time were too short-lived, so you can't even really speak to the economic consequences. Not only that, we won't really know yet how they pan out, but if it's anything like his prior tariffs, they weren't good. And they wouldn't be good, because tariffs are not smart economic policy if you're trying to grow the economy.
This is about satisfying the profits of the businesses that employ the illegals, who, by the way, they're enabling the problem.
No shit, it's about satisfying their profits. How do you think you grow the economy? It's by having profitable... What the fuck are you talking about? Now he's saying... So what is it? Are you saying that we would actually, economically prosper? Or are you saying that, economic prosperity is not an ideal and that we shouldn't care about their profits? Because now it sounds like you're admitting that it actually is profitable for them to hire the immigrants. Guess what? When companies do good, the economy does good. Like what?
Illegal immigrants come here because they know they can rely upon these businesses selling out our country to give them work over Americans. They know they can rely on landlords that will rent to them. They know they can rely on all of this. This is the treachery.
All right, it looks like that's that. And so, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This is just like a nonsensical argument. As I said, immigrants, both illegal and illegal, contribute heavily to the economy. They contribute to a lowering of the crime rate as a consequence of their lower crime rates. They make up workers in the most productive and least productive sectors. And, they are a massive source of labor for us because we lack a native population that reproduces sufficient to power the kinds of economic development that we need. And so a lot of his arguments are just built off of random assertions like we can automate sectors or hire Americans, again, who... they're not based off in any sound understanding of economics or automation or any of the things that he speaks about. And so, honestly, if you take this guy seriously, I just think you're a joke. But yeah, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever. See ya.